We are live. Hey everybody, this is Denise. I'm going to walk around there just real quick just to make sure that I got everything set up just right. Yes, we are live, and I just thought I would invite you to cook Sunday dinner with me. My husband asked me earlier, he said, so what are you fixing? I'm like, it's Sunday. What do you think I'm fixing? Roast chicken. However, I thought I'd add a few other side dishes to go along with it since I had a little bit of extra time. And I was sitting here chopping these onions. I had already cut up some ham and some bacon, and I thought, well, why don't I just invite people to go live with me? So I'm going to make some greens to go along with this chicken. So I'm going to saute, and I didn't want this to take all day either. So I thought what I would do is put the greens in the Instant Pot. That way they should be ready in about 30 minutes, and then dinner can be ready. So I got it set for saute. It's on. And then once it heats up just a little bit, I've got two strips of bacon that I've already cut up. And I've got about 4 or 5 ounces of salty ham that I've got already kind of cut up for bite-sized pieces. And I'm going to drop that in the Instant Pot. And then while they're sauteing, I'm going to chop up this onion. So I'm going to go ahead and chop this onion while I'm waiting for that pot to heat up. And then once I get the greens on, I'm going to put the roast chicken in the oven. And I really got a head start because I am using a Kroger rotisserie chicken. I just love those to make dinner easy. So I'll buy a rotisserie chicken. Sometimes I'll buy a couple of them. And I'll put one in the freezer for later and cook one on that particular day. So then, depending upon what I want to make, if I'm going to do chicken and dumplings, chicken and noodles, chicken noodle soup, chicken pot pie, I got a chicken in the oven that I can get started with. And why I got out my smallest cutting board, I do not know. Let me just remedy that right now. Let's just get one that's just a little bit bigger, because I feel like I'm getting onions all over the place. And I've got greens that I had in my freezer. I thought today one of the things I would do is to start to use some of the things that I have in my freezer. Because if you think about it, we put things in our freezer in the fall, or the summer and the fall, to get ready for winter. And then we go through winter and we begin to use some of those things. But as the next preservation season comes along, we need to start getting some of those things out. So when I came home from church, I looked in the freezer and I had that rotisserie chicken, which I knew I was going to cook today. But I also saw those greens and I thought, okay, get those greens out and let's cook those. So what are you making today for dinner? Inquiring minds want to know. Let me know. Oh, there's a fly in here. Oh my goodness. Well, that's one thing that certainly lets you know that spring and summer is here, when you start to see bugs. My husband has been in and out of the garage all afternoon. He's getting ready for his 25th annual fishing derby, his club's 25th annual fishing derby. So he's been in and out the garage, and so of course, when you open the door too many times, sometimes flies come in. So hopefully, I'm not too bothered by them. So I added about a tablespoon, maybe a couple tablespoons of oil to my Instant Pot so that I can saute my bacon, or I should say so I could cook my bacon in that, but it is on the saute setting. So I'm going to add the bacon and the ham. And I will say that ham was a little salty when we had it earlier. So I'm not going to put much salt in these greens until I've been able to get a good taste to see what they really taste like, because that ham was a little salty. I could hear the Instant Pot making funny little noises. So how was your Sunday afternoon? I was going to say Sunday morning, but I realized, you know, it's afternoon now. So how was your Sunday afternoon going? Mine's going okay. I was busy earlier with doing some videos from my Amazon store. I had gotten a note from Amazon that they needed a video done on these all plastic freezer jars that I like to use. And since I had those out today and have been working with some broth, I thought, okay, this will be a good day to do that. So I did that real quick while my husband was out, again, working on fishing stuff, and now he's back. All right, so I've got the onions sauteed, or rather the onions cut up. Sorry about that. All right, so now the pot is hot. In case you've not used an Instant Pot before, it said hot. Now, I don't know why it went to off. What did I do? I did something. Let me put it on saute once again. I guess when I moved it, it was a little touchy, so I shouldn't have done that. So I just pushed the plug to make sure it was in. So now it's back set to hot. So I've already got the oil in there, so now I've got a hot pot. So I am going to add, I've already cut up the 2 strips of bacon, so I'm going to drop those in. And I'm going to add in my ham. And I just need to let that ham and bacon just crisp up. And when it's done, then I'll throw in my onions and a little bit of red pepper flakes. So while that's doing that, now I don't know about you, you might think this is a little strange, but I like to add just a little bit of carrot to my greens because I feel like it adds a natural sweetness. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to wash this carrot. And get it scraped and peeled. And let me just say, too, that I appreciate you guys joining me, but I can't really call anybody out because the camera is far enough away that I can't read the comments. So get away from here, fly. Yeah, the camera's far enough away that I can't read the comments. So I'm going to go ahead and just peel this carrot. And as you guys know, I do make my own chicken broth or vegetable broth. So once I've washed the vegetables, like celery, carrots, onions, whatever, I'm going to save the peelings or the scrapings. And so what I've learned to do is just to peel them on a plate. Now, normally I'd have this plate sitting in the bottom of the sink, and I would just peel them right there. But I can't really see you, or you can't really see me if I'm over there. So I thought I would just come over here and do it. And I know some of you are probably like, wait, what? She's going live today? Why is she going live today? I'm going live today because, I don't know, I just felt in the mood to go live. I was getting ready to cook dinner and just wanted a little bit of company. So I thought I will invite you guys to join me. So I've got my onion cut up right there. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of cut up my carrot in very small pieces, just very small little cubes. It'll add just a little bit of color to the greens, but also a little bit of natural sweetness. That way, if there's somebody that doesn't like carrots, there's not enough in there to matter. Now, the last few times I made greens, I used turkey legs or turkey wings to flavor the greens because we were expecting company over for dinner. That bacon and ham is smelling pretty darn good. But anyway, we were expecting company over for dinner, so I used turkey legs or turkey thighs, and they do flavor the greens nicely because the dark meat on the turkey or even on the chicken has a lot of flavor and more oil, so you can certainly get good flavoring with that. But my son's not coming over here to dinner today. He doesn't eat pork, and my brother-in-law's not coming, and we do eat pork. And whereas I've reduced the amount of pork and going to be reducing the amount of meat also that we eat, I thought, well, why don't I just go ahead and use some of the stuff in the freezer? And I had some bacon and ham in the freezer. So that's a good excuse, is it not? So I can see that I've got somebody over there. And as I told you, I can't tell who it is. So as soon as I get this chopped up a little bit more finely, I'll come over there and see who it is and say hello. Okay, so now it's turned off for a second because it's hot enough. And let me add in the carrots and onions. Give that a little bit of scraping. And now one of the things that happens, as you know, for you young homemakers out there, I wanted to grab something to hold this pie still, so I got this little tiny pot holder. But one of the things that happens when you saute is that sometimes you'll get a little bit of brown, a little bit of bits and pieces on the bottom of the pan. So one of the things that you'll need to do, and let me pull this out just a little bit. One of the things that you'll need to do is what we call deglaze the bottom of the pan. So I'm using this spurtle to scrape it up. And then once I feel like it's been a little bit of red pepper flakes, just a little bit. I don't like the heat, but I do like the flavor. I can get this set aside for now. And I'm going to hit the saute button again since I've added those carrots and the onions because it had gone to the offsetting. And on the saute function, looks like it's only staying hot for so long. So let me come over real quick just to see who's there. So I'm going to come around. There's my arm. You guys can still see me. So I've got Natasha Kemp. Hey, Natasha and EasyXD say, what's cooking? Well, right now what's cooking is some collard greens. I've got them in the Instant Pot. And then I'm going to be making some roast chicken. It's going to be a rotisserie roast chicken, so I'll let you see me do that as well. So thank you guys for joining me. I do appreciate it. So now I'm going to get back on over here and stir. So again, there's my hand, so I'm not completely off screen. And And then what I'll do next, once the onions have sauteed, you know, they've gotten a little bit more tender, I'm going to add some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of sugar, some homemade chicken broth, as well as a little chili sauce. But I'll put the chili sauce in a little bit later. I usually add that once the greens have started cooking down pretty good. Yeah, see, that's heating up again pretty good. And then I told you guys that I was doing stuff that was in the freezer. So I had this bag of greens in the freezer, so I took it out. It's been sitting in my sink, thawing out. So I'll be adding that here to the Instant Pot. So, what are you guys having for dinner today? Let me know. What are you making? Sunday is that one time that you can take a little bit more time to cook. For many people, for many homemakers, things are just a little bit slower. And I've really been trying to slow it down on Sundays. Sunday is the day that I'll sit down with my planner and I'll decorate it if I plan to do it that week. Or maybe I'll look at, okay, so what do I need to do for the week, and work on putting some things together on a list or planning out some of my YouTube videos. Okay, so looks like the onions have softened up, so now I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to cancel it. So I've turned it off to cancel it. So now I am going to add my greens. And these were greens that I grew or got from a friend. So I've got them here. So the greens are in there. I'm going to pour in about 2 cups of homemade chicken broth. I can add more if I need to. I'm also going to add about a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Just a little bit of sugar. And you know, the sugar doesn't make it sweet, but what the sugar does, it just takes the edge off the bitterness that you can get with greens. So I'm going to give them a good stir so that everything is just kind of all through it. Well, let's make sure I have everything. I already put in red pepper flakes, sugar, vinegar. I like to put the chili sauce in toward the end, so I'm not going to put that in right now, but I've got it out. Homemade chili sauce, I must say. Okay. So I think this is all ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get my lid on. And then I'm going to put it on pressure cook. And it's set for 25 minutes from whenever I cook something last. So I'm just going to leave it at that. That ought to do it. So I'm going to get these things out of the way. And then I'm I'm going to get my chicken ready. So before I get the chicken cut and get it put into my pot, I want to have my carrots ready. So I've got to wash. So I'm going to sit this back just a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing over here. So I got some celery. What I like to do is put my chicken on a bed of celery. And even though the chicken's already done, the juices that are in it are going to run out. The celery and the carrots and the honey that I'm going to put on it's going to give it a little bit extra flavor. And then I'll have a little bit extra broth that I can use for something else. So let me go ahead and get these all washed up. To get a new vegetable brush. This vegetable brush is so pitiful that I'm ashamed to even show it. It still works, but I'm not going to bring it over there for you to see. It is pretty pitiful. So Father's Day is in a few weeks. What are you guys either going to be getting your man in your life for Father's Day, or you men that are out there, what are you going to be putting on your list that you need for Father's Day? And my inquiring minds want to know. My husband requested a new fillet knife, a new electric fillet knife, because the one that he normally uses just burned out. He'd had it for quite a while, and he was filleting some fish the other day, and I was helping him get it ready to vacuum seal and pack in the freezer. And he said it just died. It just quit working. So he needs a new fillet knife, a new electric one, I should say. So that's what I'm going to be getting him. So I've got more onions here to cook. And since I do make my own chicken broth, what I do is I will save the peels and the skins off the onions. And so these are things that I used to throw away. But they say when you know better, I should say Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. Well, I've learned that I was throwing away good product that I could make my own chicken broth for pennies on the dollar. And so now that's what I do. And I do have a couple of videos that show you how I do that. I'll link those in the description box at some point. Now for this chicken, all I'm going to do is just kind of cut these onions up, just kind of largely and kind of loosely in the little circle, half circle pieces. And I like to create a bed that I would fit the vegetables on, and then I put the chicken on top of that. So I'll just take the onions and I'll just kind of do them like this. Just kind of leaving the pieces like that loose. And I'll put these on the bottom of my pot. So those are those are already there. Looks like I got some greens on those. And then for the celery, I'm going to put these greens in that little dish that I'm going to be using for my broth. I put them in a freezer bag, and then when I have enough, I make the broth. And these are large pieces because a lot of times we might actually eat these veggies out. Certainly we'll eat the carrots out. So I just kind of roughly cut up these carrots, or rather this celery. and let the chicken sit on top of that. And as it's sitting there and bathing in its juices, I'm creating a rich, rich chicken broth. And who knows, I might decide to take some of this broth or pot liquor off of the chicken and pour it in the greens to give it just a little bit extra flavor. We'll see. Probably not, because I do have the ham and the bacon in there, so I really shouldn't need that extra flavor. But we'll see. And then I will get the carrots ready. And the skins of the carrots and the onions have lots of vitamins in them. Lots and lots of vitamins. And that's why they're good to use to make your own broth, because they're packed full of nutrients. And then you could heat the broth up and have a cup of broth every morning with your breakfast instead of coffee or tea. And in some cultures, especially way back in the day, they did used to serve a cup of broth every morning with breakfast, because the protein source is important and people didn't always eat a lot of meat like we do now. So, again, tell me, what are you guys cooking for dinner today? And I'm working on a new YouTube series. Tell me what you guys think about that. So once I get this chicken in the oven, I'll come around and I'll see what you guys are saying. We can sit and chat for a bit. But I've got a new YouTube series that I'm working on, and it's called 50 Years of Homemaking, What I've Learned. And I just thought I would just share with the young homemakers and even some of the more seasoned homemakers just some of the things that I've learned over the years that have made my homemaking journey a little bit easier, or would have made my homemaking journey easier if I had known these particular truths earlier. So that's what I thought I would do. And I've got the first video done in this series, and it was about my nighttime kitchen cleaning routine, what I've learned after 50 years of homemaking. So if you have not seen that video, I invite you to check it out. It just gave you the tips and tricks that I've learned about keeping the kitchen clean and how I can make sure that the kitchen is working for me to my best advantage. So I will link that video in the description box so that you can check that out. And in case you're wondering which apron I have on the one we call Vanna. And it's one that my husband likes to wear and that I also like to wear. And it goes with this dress. And it depends upon what I'm doing as to which apron I'll put on. But I just grabbed it off the hook today. It was just the one that just happened to be close by. Now he likes to wear one that is similar, not this one, but a similar one that he wears when he's cleaning his fish. And I'm going to have to get that apron and wash it, because he's cleaned fish several times and it needs to be washed. He's like, oh, it's just going to get like this again. I'm like, yeah, but it needs washing. So I'll do that. I'll probably do a laundromat video and let you see me wash it, because I'll definitely want to use some laundry booster, the Dirty Labs laundry booster, to get that cleaned up, because it will need to be sanitized. Okay. So tell me what you guys think about my new series. Tell me that. Inquiring minds want to know. So you see all of these leftover veggie scraps. I've got a bag that I put them in. This particular bag was one that I had used when I had, we had a rotisserie chicken at another time. And I saved the chicken bones. And so I'll just put these veggie scraps in this bag. And then I'll put that in the freezer until I'm actually ready to use it. So my Instant Pot is on, and it's still just saying on. I set it for the 25 minutes, but it hasn't started the countdown yet. So now my carrots are about like this, and so what I'm going to do is just kind of cross-cut the carrots like this. Just little small segments. Now, for you moms out there with littles, carrots about this size, just finger size, would be perfect for your children, especially your toddlers. So one way to get children to eat their vegetables is to start when they are first beginning to eat finger foods. And here's something I want you to think about. Don't think about, well, I don't like carrots, so I'm not going to cook carrots. I don't like green beans, so I'm not going to cook green beans. What you don't want to do is infect your children with your own personal biases, your own bad habits. Now, I will admit I don't cook beets. We had to eat beets when we were younger. My dad loved beets, and my mom cooked them at least once a week, usually on Sunday, and I hated them. So I thought, when I grow up, I'm not cooking beets. When we had our twins, I did feed them Gerber baby food beets. But then when they were older, I'm thinking, okay, I don't cook beets, so I just don't cook that. But every other vegetable, for the most part, I do cook. They probably don't like beets because of me, but they try to eat everything else. Now, my one son doesn't like carrots. So if I put carrots in things, he'll pick them out. Well, he can pick them out. But you've got to give them the option to learn. And then, oh, let me just tell you something that I remember from when I was a student nurse working in Indianapolis at one of the clinics. And the doctor was talking to one of the moms about feeding her baby food. And she says, well, the mom says, well, she doesn't like it. She won't eat it. She keeps spitting it out. And the doctor explained to her, honey, when babies are younger, especially when they're like about 8 months old, that kind of thing, they have a tongue thrust. And so the way they eat, you know, so much is coming out. That's why you see moms constantly scraping it up and putting it back in. So it's not that she doesn't like it, but it's just the way her biology is right now. So I want to encourage you moms. Now, it's been a while since I've had a baby, so I know when they have moms start solid foods, meaning like baby food for young ones, is a little bit different now. The time scale is a little bit different, so I'm not trying to address that. But what I am saying is that you do have to offer it to them often enough so that they can get used to the texture and the flavor of it. Many times when kids don't like something, it's either the texture, not typically the flavor, but it's the texture. And so often it's a new texture that they have to adjust to. So you need to offer to them often enough that they can adjust to the new texture. I'm going to set this over here. And get out this one. So like I told you, I have this chicken in the freezer. And I just want to cook half of it today. I think. We'll see. But I do want to cut it in half because it will cook a lot easier if I cut it in half. So here it is in half. And I don't like to cut meat, protein, on my wooden cutting board. I know it's just me. There's probably nothing wrong with it. But I just have a thing about that. So now I've got my caraway cookware. So what I'm going to do now is just put my vegetables at the bottom of the pan. And moms, this is a trick that you can use because first of all, it's a way to cook the veggies at one time to create some stock off the chicken. But the vegetables, particularly the carrots, will have a lovely flavor from the chicken. So I'm going to put the chicken on its side. So I'm going to put it in the pot like this. I'm going to go ahead and do them both because they fit in there nicely. See that? You can see how they're both down in there. I'm going to do that. And let me just rinse my hands for a bit here. That's one thing about when you're cooking, you get your hands all grody, but when you're cooking live, you've got the noise of the running water and all of that. So, okay, I need to grab the honey. I forgot to bring that in. So I got that. And I like to add just a little bit of honey on the top of my chicken. It just gives it such a nice flavor. Also a nice little glaze. And then I've got some thyme and sage somewhere. Let's see, where's my sage? Where's my sage? There we go. Well, I've got, oh, rosemary. Look at that. So I've got some thyme and some rosemary. And what I'm going to do is I got this little grinder, and it probably was supposed to be a coffee grinder, but I use it to grind spices. See, this is a problem I get when I try to cook live. I have things out all over the place. My husband says I can tear up the kitchen. And I suppose I can. So now the crock pot is counting down, so that's a good thing. So what I will do here is I have probably about a couple teaspoons of thyme, and I'm going to put it here in this grinder. And it's thyme that I grew, preserved myself, dried it. And then I'm going to put in here about a teaspoon of rosemary, put it in there, and then I'm going to grind it up. So now you can see that. So now I'm just going to sprinkle that in the pot. Going to add a little bit of chicken broth to the bottom of the pot. Just a little bit. And I'll usually add a cup of water as well. That just gives me more broth to work with. And then now it's all set. So I've got in the thyme, I've got the rosemary, the honey, lemon and pepper seasoning. I forgot that. And just a little bit of lemon and pepper seasoning. Notice no salt. And I'm going to put the lid on it and put it in the oven. And then I'll come over and talk to you. So let me get this in the oven. I'll get this cleaned up in just a minute, but I wanted to come over and talk to you to see who's here and see what people are saying, that kind of thing. So, okay, let's see. Oh, I've got lots of people that jumped in. Oh, my goodness. You guys, thank you. You know, we who are YouTube creators do not take it for granted when you join us. Especially it's Sunday afternoon, people have their own things to do. So thank you so much for joining me. So I see one of my longtime friends, my sister from another, Mr. Michelle from my Everyday Wife. Hello, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining me. And Heather Smether, thank you for coming. Heather says she's not sure what's for dinner. She spent the morning making breakfast bowls and burritos for the family. That sounds really good. And see, here's the thing. It's Sunday morning. We can kind of cozy into it, just be a little bit more laid back. And I'm really trying to just spend more time with family on Sunday and at least just laying back just a little bit. So Michelle says she's not sure what she's making yet for dinner. It'll be coming up, so hang on. Ray Ban says, what we cooking today, I just put in rotisserie chicken. So we're having roast chicken, and it's on a bed of carrots, onions, and celery. And I squiggled some honey on top and then sprinkled it with some thyme and rosemary that I ground up in a grinder with a little bit of lemon and pepper seasoning on top of that. So now that's in the oven. So Michelle says she's thinking of making pulled pork. Oh, Michelle, I love pulled pork. And I tell you what, I wanted to get pulled pork for dinner on Friday. But my husband was like, no, there's a place we have called Shig's in Pitts. And they have the best pulled pork sandwiches and barbecue and all that. But he's like, look, we've been out to dinner a couple times. We're going out tomorrow night. So like, no. So we ended up having dinner at home. He made some shrimp that we had in the freezer, some breaded shrimp, and he made the sauce for it and all that. Also, Ray-Ban just made shrimp Alfredo with rice linguine noodles. Oh, I love it. Added Cajun, lemon, and some other seasonings. So Michelle says she sees 39 people here, but they haven't said anything because they must be shy. So please say hi if you're out there. Honey just came in from the garage. You probably heard that door. When our door opens, it sounds like, I don't know, one of those scary doors on a horror movie. But that's the way it is. But he just came in from the garage, so you might hear him moving around. So please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. And then Barbara Lane is saying hello from Texas. So hi there. I appreciate it. And Lady Tong says this is her first to catch Miss Denise live. Greetings from the Netherlands. Oh my goodness. The Netherlands. Thank you so much for joining me. Honey, what are you looking for? The duct tape. It ought to be in that box up on the top shelf. He can never find anything. So, okay. So Nadia, thank you so much for joining us from the Netherlands. I appreciate that. And then, yeah, Michelle's in Florida. We got people from all over the place. And please, don't forget to leave me a comment when this live is over, too. I really appreciate that. And leaving a live just really helps to benefit the channel. And Sally from Covington Creek is here. So, hey, Sally. And Salt and Pepper. Hello, Michelle. Love your channel. So, Salt and Pepper is here, too. So again, what's everybody cooking for Sunday dinner? Tam, party of 6. I'm glad you joined us today. So hi from Suriname. She's cooking rice and beans. I do a lot of rice and beans, but typically I might be doing that on a Taco Tuesday. I might make some rice and we might start the tacos with a bed of rice. And then I'll have some black beans and corn and other things that go in the tacos, or a burrito bowl with that kind of a rice bowl or something like that. So Michelle's decided they are having pulled pork sandwiches with coleslaw and roasted carrots or potatoes. I love pulled pork with a healthy dollop of coleslaw on top. And then she might make smashed potatoes. You have to tell us about your smashed potatoes, Michelle. How do you make those? So Nita B, hello, Nita. I'm so glad you were able to join me today as well. She says that they're having chicken pot pie and smoked trout with rice. Ooh, that sounds good. My husband would love the smoked trout. So Michelle's has a premiere at 7:30 tonight Everybody, let's join Michelle at 7:30 tonight for her premiere. Michelle, I'll be sure to check you out. She's doing a kitchen reset. Well, as you can see, all the stuff I got out here, I'm going to need to be doing that myself. So, okay, I'll be sure to check you out tonight at 7:30. But yes, let's have a slow down, chilled Sunday. Just kind of relax a little bit. I've got Valerie Pilgrim from Southwest Arkansas. Hey, Valerie, I hope you saw me put those greens in the Instant Pot because we're having kind of like a little southern dish with the collard greens today. I decided to make those. So Sally at Covington Creek said she made plain rice and Mexican rice today. Oh, you made both of them. Triple the amounts and put them in the freezer. Rice does so well in the freezer. So she had street tacos for lunch, added black beans for extra fiber and protein to the rice. Sounds delicious. And will you guys believe this? My husband actually made rice the other day. We didn't have any of the Ben's original 90-second rice. He opened the jar of rice and actually cooked rice that you had to like put in the water and cook it for like 20 to 25 minutes. I'm like, you actually cook rice? So he's done it a couple of times now. So he's feeling pretty good about himself. So yes. Oh, so Michelle says she's not made smashed potatoes before, but she's going to give them a try tonight. So Heather Smathers says once she decides on dinner, she'll put it in the comments later. She needs to bake some muffins for school, and she'll bake a casserole since the oven will be on. I'm going to make some corn muffins to go with those greens, so I got to step out for those, and it's just jiffy, but I need to get over there. Roman from Switzerland. We got someone here from Switzerland and someone from the Netherlands, quite a few people from the US, and I'll bet you there's some people here from the UK too, because we usually get a few from the UK and some from India. So please give me a thumbs up, because that means that you like what I'm doing, and leave me a comment. And if you don't leave me a comment now on the live, when the live is over, please go back and leave me a comment. Okay, let me walk around here and get some of this stuff out of the way so that I can make these muffins. And they're just going to be jiffy muffins today. Like I said, I'm doing things just kind of easy and laid back today. So I got out a box of Jiffy. I'm not going to worry about wiping that out just now. Let's get this over here. Oh, and in case you're wondering, these are my ball plastic freezer jars. These jars are so nice. I make my own chicken broth or veggie broth or a combination of that. And then I get everything all strained out, put the broth in these plastic jars, and they work out nicely in the freezer. They stack nicely. Well, the other ones are up there too tall for me to get, but because of the way the lid is, they stack nicely. And they're leak proof. So I make my chicken broth in those. And then also I repurpose my spice jars. So for example, this one, I bought some McCormick thyme in it, but when I used all the thyme up and then I grew my own and dried and preserved it, I put some back in this jar. And this one, my husband took the label off of it for me, and then I put rosemary in it, and I just put some tape across there so that I know what's in it. So I'm just going to set these things back here to get them out of the way. And I'll get things cleaned up in a little bit. But let me just get this over here, so that I've at least got space to work with. And then I'll clean up in a minute. And I might even let you watch me clean up, but at least I'll have this part done. Now, as for the chicken that's in the oven, keeping in mind that the chicken was already fully cooked. However, it had been frozen, so it was going to be pretty cold. So what I need to have happen with the chicken is for the chicken to be completely thawed, and then the juices to run, and then the veggies in the bottom of the pot to become tender. So that's the biggest thing we're looking for with this meal. So for my young moms out there, it's pretty simple. And then what I'll do is we'll use maybe half the chicken today, probably not even a half a chicken. We'll probably use a quarter of the chicken today. And then later this week, I'll make either chicken and dumplings maybe on Wednesday. Let me get something to, well, I'll dry this counter off. I'm trying not to leave the screen too often. Now my Instant Pot is cooked down to 10 minutes, so just in the time that we've been talking, those greens have been cooking away. And then probably I'll do maybe some mashed potatoes with those. That sounds good. Let's see if I have some potatoes. But let's... I tried to set everything out that I was going to need. But as you saw, there were already a few things that I had forgotten. Now let me get out my bowl. Now this is the bowl that I'm going to use for the muffins. And let me just say, this is a vintage mixing bowl. I've got a set of them. There's 4 of them that, this is the 3rd largest size, and they go down from there. I'm thinking there was probably a 5th bowl that was a lot larger that somehow over time it got broken. These were actually my grandmother's, so that's why I say they're vintage. And my grandmother has been gone, oh, I don't know, a good 12 or 14 years, and she had these in her house. So one of the things that I do to keep them nice is I don't put them in the dishwasher. My husband inadvertently put one in the dishwasher, and then the next time I looked at it, I could see like a little crack running down the side. So I think those really, really old dishes were not made to stand up to the heat in a dishwasher. So I don't put it in the dishwasher. I always hand wash it, and I try to remind him of that because he helps me wash the dishes quite a bit. So I try to remind him that they can't go in the dishwasher. But a lot of times I'll just go ahead and wash it up by hand while I'm thinking about it, just to kind of get that done. So for this Jiffy Mix, it says to use 1 packet of Jiffy Mix, 1 egg, and a 1/3 cup of milk. Well, I don't have any eggs. So what I'm going to do is use my whole freeze-dried eggs, and 2 tablespoons of dried whole eggs plus 2.5 tablespoons of water equals 1 whole egg. So I'm going to do that. Now, one of the things that I've learned though, when I use these dried whole eggs, and they work out very good. I tried them for scrambled eggs, and they do work out okay, but my family doesn't like it quite the best, but it works out beautifully for baking. And what I've learned, the best thing to do is to put the powder in with your dry goods. So I need 2.5 tablespoons of dried whole eggs, or 2 tablespoons of dried whole eggs, and then 2.5 tablespoons of water. So I add the water when I add my wet ingredients. So I'll go ahead and I got the eggs in here, the powdered eggs in here, and I'll mix those up. And then I need 2/3 cup of milk. And I'll also going to add the 2½ tablespoons of water, because you do have to have that extra liquid when you use those powdered eggs. If you don't put that extra liquid in there, they don't come out right. So there's 1, 2. So there's my 2½. So now I've got powdered eggs in here, so now I'm going to add my wet ingredients, which is the water plus the milk. And whereas I can make my own muffins, I do like Jiffy. And you guys know I even found a recipe that's a Jiffy dupe. Now, I like to have my batter just a little bit more moist. So I always like to add a little bit more moisture than they call for. Sometimes I'll even take a can of cream style corn and add the cream style corn to it. Or maybe put in some, what are those green things? Green chilies, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, so now, I don't want to overmix this corn muffin mix, so I've got it. I'm going to let it sit there. Get that out of the way. And then while that's sitting to the side, I'm going to go ahead. I'll tell you what, this is not Rachel Ray. I try to keep everything nice and neat when I'm cooking, especially if I'm cooking on camera. It can be a hot mess. So I'm going to grease my muffin pan, and what I do is I will take wax paper. This is old school. Wrap it around my hand like that. Fold it down. Now I've got like a little pocket. Dip it in the Crisco and thoroughly grease the pan. Now you could just use your fingers, but when you do it this way, first of all, you're not dipping your fingers in the Crisco. But you could like scoop some out with a spoon and then just do that. But I don't like getting all that Crisco underneath my nails, and then I have to get it out that way. Get that out. So but I make sure that they are well greased. You want to be able to see the grease in there because it helps to prevent them from sticking to the pan. And while I'm greasing this, it's allowing my corn muffin batter to just sit for like a minute or two so that it can kind of peak nicely. Okay. So now that should be ready. Came back from the store and saw that I was in here filming, he just shook his head. He's like, do you film everything? And like the answer to that question, of course, is no. See how light that is? See how light and fluffy that is? You can kind of see. So now I put that in there. Oh, here, I'll show you. I'm going to bring this over so you can see it. If you look right down in there, you can kind of see how there's like little air holes in there. So that's how you want it to be. That's what happens when you let it sit for a little bit. It just helps the muffin to get a nice peak on it. So see, you can kind of see the way it's coming up that way. It helps the muffin to peak nicely. And you're supposed to just fill the muffin cup about 2/3 full. I tend to overfill it. And since my oven is already heated up, because I had it heated up for the chicken, I can just set that inside. Now, that's the Instapot counting down. Here are my muffins. They're ready to go in the oven. Now let me just see what the Jiffy Mix box says. It probably says 400 degrees. Yeah, and this box says to bake them on 400 for about 15 minutes. So I think what I'll do, so I just turned the oven off and then turned it back on and then increased the temperature to 400 degrees. And it'll be there in just a minute. So I'm gonna let these sit here for a second while I get some of this cleaned up. And I'm gonna leave this back there. That's gonna go in the fridge. This is gonna go in the freezer. And for those of you that missed it, so when I scraped my carrots and chopped my celery and my onions, I put the shavings into a clean plate after I washed them off. And after I washed the carrots and the onions and the celery, I shaved them. I put the peelings in a clean plate and then put it in this bag here with some chicken bones that I had saved from another roasted chicken. So I'm going to put that in the freezer. All of that stuff's going to get put up. I'm going to get this milk put back in the fridge right away. And I don't always use half and half for my corn muffins, but I had some in there and I needed to use it up. So that's kind of what this dinner is about this time, is using up stuff that's in the freezer or in the fridge that needs using up. And it needed using up. So, trying to think if I should have green beans. No, we don't need green beans because we got greens. I'm so used to having like roast chicken and green beans, but potatoes. And I don't know if I have any potatoes, but I know I do have some. Let me grab something. I'll show you. Some potatoes and so again, looking at things on my prep shelf in my pantry, on my fridge, I found this bag of Idahoan buttery homestyle mashed potatoes. Best use date, June of 2024. So we're going to have these mashed potatoes today. So Michelle's making smashed potatoes. I'm going to make those mashed potatoes, but so that's another way for me to use up some of the milk that's in the fridge. I think before I get those made though, because I like to have those hot and ready, I think what I'll do is wash these dishes. No, that'll be too noisy. I'll let that sit there. But let's see. It's almost ready to put those in. While I'm waiting, I'll come around and say hello. I'll see who's there. Now, I've done all the things you shouldn't do. For example, one of the rules of live streams is that you should never leave the screen. But sometimes when you're running around in the kitchen, it's kind of hard not to do that. So Michelle says, how's everyone doing? Everyone's Sunday going today? And, the Oh, wait a minute. We've had some good conversation going on. Let me back it up. Let me back it up, back it up. Okay, so Heather already said once she decides on dinner, she'll put it in the comments later, but she needs to bake some muffins for school, and maybe she'll make a casserole since the oven's on. So Patra701 says, hello, hello, Patra. And Florence from Equip Institute, thank you so much for joining me. You know what? I just decided at the last minute, I was getting ready to cook dinner, and I thought, well, why don't I just invite my YouTube family to cook dinner with me? So that's what I'm doing. And then Roman is saying hi from Switzerland. And Salt and Pepper says, a husband cooking rice from scratch. Girl, yes, I could not believe it. He said it wasn't that hard. But typically, if it's not Uncle Ben's original, he's not making it. But he did that time. He wanted some. So Michelle says, try the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay mix. I have. It is delicious. And you know Miss Leona at Ebony, Ivy, and Time in the Kitchen has a Cheddar Bay biscuit recipe that is to die for. But I bought the Red Lobster ones many a times. So Ty says, glad to make it to the live. Says he, I'm not sure, always misses it. But hi from Nevada. Oh, and so Michelle says they have a gluten-free one. Okay. That being said, you could probably just make biscuits from Bisquick mix and yeah, add your own spices. Yeah, you could. So again, I've got 43 people watching. If I could get 43 thumbs up, that would be great. And people are just finding time to relax. Sierra says that church was awesome. Dinner is in the crock pot. Her littles are napping and she's catching the live. Oh my goodness, I'm glad that I made a part of your Sunday and that you find it's nice. So Real TV says hello, salute. So I'm glad you're here to join us. And we got people here from like Jen in New York City. So hello. And then Bart Sims, first time viewer, loves watching country cooking. I'm enjoying your video. You know, Bart, I don't know how country my cooking is. Because actually, I was born right here in Indiana. And my mom was born right here in Indiana. But my one grandmother, my maternal grandmother was born in Michigan. My paternal grandmother was born in Arkansas. So, oh, I forgot I had that pan in there. Let me move this over. Here, I'll bring it over for a second so you guys can kind of see. For those of you that are saying, what's for dinner? Roast chicken. That's what's for dinner. And I just needed to move it over so I can get those muffins in. And I want you to see these muffins too. You see now how I've let them sit in the pan? See how they're already starting to rise and peak? So that's why after you mix the batter up, you let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes so that it will peak. Okay, so we got the muffins in. I'm gonna make these mashed potatoes. And let's see, do I have any gravy? I went over to get some Better Than Bouillon out of the fridge. I also have some onion jam in here that I made, but I think I might have had it open too long. Let me see. Yeah, I've had that open too long, so I'm going to discard that. But I'll use that for the mashed potatoes. So what I'm going to do is make some gravy. So what I need to do is get the flour. So I'm getting the flour, and I should have had that out earlier. Sorry that I didn't, but you guys know it's coming up right here. Okay. So I got a little bit of flour. do is I'll put just a little bit of flour in that dish. And I got a little bit of Miss Leona's house seasoning. I made up some of Miss Leona's house seasoning, so I got just enough on a fork. So that's all I'm going to do there. Because I don't like the heat. Miss Leona does. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take about a cup of chicken broth. I'm going to put it in this pan. I'm going to heat that up. Woo! Sorry about that. Yeah, and I'll put in just a little bit. And I'll use some of my chicken broth there, and I'll use some of this better than bouillon in there as well. And it takes 1 teaspoon of this better than bouillon to a cup of water. So I'll just get a teaspoon out, put it in there. Now, this better than base can be a little salty. And because it can, you want to make sure that you're careful with how much of it you actually use. And I'm going to use this whisker there. My husband's out in the garage still working on his stuff. He's having their fishing derby this weekend. Now what he's going to say is that I banished him to the garage and that he can't ever come in the house because I'm always filming. Now I opened that powdered stuff, and I tell you what, it's caused my nose to just cause my nose to tickle just a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to stir up this broth. And I believe you guys can see me from there. I'm going to turn the camera just a little bit. There. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to got that cooking up. In the meantime, I'm going to put this flour in this. I'm going to add a little water. So I added the flour, rather I added a little water to this flour. Now I've already got some of the better than base chicken bouillon in the pot. I added a little bit of Miss Leona's house seasoning, which has pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. There's no salt in it, but there's salt in that Better Than base. And normally I would add a little bit of drippings off of my chicken or turkey. So I'll do that also, but it's starting to bubble. So I'm going to add this. So now I'm making my own chicken gravy rather than use purchased gravy. Now, I will admit, I buy the Heinz turkey gravy or the Heinz chicken gravy all the time. Whenever I buy groceries, it is on my grocery list if I am out. However, if you run out, it is so easy to make your own gravy with just a little bit of flour, salt, pepper, water, and some chicken broth. Somebody put a long comment over there. Let me see what they're saying. Oh, Sally's sister-in-law was a microwave cook. I didn't even realize that was all my niece knew until she was 17. She joined Weight Watchers and started cooking from scratch. Graduated with food engineering degree. I love it. I love it. Corbin says his mom didn't cook at all. Okay, well, Corbin, you know what? Hopefully you can learn to cook. Hello, Blaze. Hello, everyone. But yeah, it's pretty easy to make your own gravy. Now, what I don't particularly care for is white gravy. And a lot of people will put white gravy on like biscuits and sausage. The gravy for sausage tends to be white. I like brown gravy, or like that golden brown gravy that comes with chicken. Now, here's the thing. If I have too much flour in here and it's too thick, I can add more water to thin it down. And I should have... Ooh, those muffins are looking pretty good. I should have got some of that broth off of the chicken since I had it out, but I didn't. And I can't open the oven right now because the muffins are starting to rise. So I'm not going to be able to open them right now. But what are some of the things that I have in there? Well, I have a little bit of honey in that chicken. So I'm just going to add just a dollop, just to simulate that flavor. I have lemon and pepper in there, so I'll add just a little bit of that. And I'll add a little bit of the thyme, but I'm not going to put the rosemary in the gravy. I'll add a little bit of the thyme and I'll scrunch it up because I like thyme in gravy, so I'll do that. I'll give it another good stir. Now, here's a secret that I learned from my sister. Let me grab it. It's in the fridge, but this is not something that I had tried before until she was moving and she got rid of all her spices, and this was something she gave me, and it is browning, seasoning, and baking sauce. Who knew? There was a sauce you could put in stuff just to make it turn brown. So if you need beef gravy, and it's too light, you just put in a drop or two of this and it browns up nicely. Who knew? Now, I'm not using this today because, of course, let me turn this down. I've been getting a little distracted lately when I'm doing things and then ended up cooking things, let's say, too long. I was making warming up some hamburger buns the other day. And I buttered them, put them in a skillet. I don't know what happened. I got distracted. I turned around I could smell the buns. They were black on the bottom. My husband's like, don't throw them out. Let me see, how dark are they? I said, too dark for you to eat. You're going to have to go to Aldi's and pick up some hamburger buns. So that was what we had to do. So, okay, this is cooking right away. Let me give it a taste, because I want to see what it tastes like. It's still a little thin, which means I might need to add a little more flour to it to thicken it up. Tastes pretty good, not too salty. Yes, not too salty. I'm going to add some of the broth from the chicken in here once that's out. So yeah, you have to be careful not to let it get too salty. Okay, let's take a look at this. 2 cups of boiling water. Add the potatoes, butter, and it's ready to go. So this is really easy. So this will be really easy to make. So we'll have those for dinner with our meal. And those corn muffins are looking pretty darn good. Now sometimes what I've learned to do, if I'm making, let's say, a broth or even a soup and the broth is too thin and I want to thicken it up a little bit, rather than add cornstarch or flour to thicken up, I've started adding mashed potato flakes to it. The mashed potatoes will thicken it up and give it a little bit of extra nutrients. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. I'm going to put it in my gravy bowl once it's ready. I have to see what I can reach. So I'll put the gravy in that. That has counted down to 21 minutes. So let's take a look at the greens and see how they're doing. Let that cook. And let's see, do I have any mashed potatoes in here? No. Okay. So it looks like today, since the only mashed potatoes I have are those that we're going to have for dinner, I may have to add more flour, but we'll let it cook down for just a little bit and we'll see what's what. I'm going to turn that down. Let me get another spoon and taste it again. And you know I've got some cranberry sauce in the fridge that I can have with my chicken. Now, hubby won't eat that, but I will. Yeah. That's good. I can taste the salt in it too. I'm going to add just a little bit of water. Because it is a little bit salty. And then when I add those potato flakes to it, that'll help too. Or the flour, that'll help too. So it is a tad bit salty. So as I said, and you know what, it could be too that I have not been adding much salt to food lately. I've gotten used to not putting in much salt. So now everything tastes salty. So this better than bouillon, when I added the teaspoon of better than bouillon to the water, I did add a little bit more than a teaspoon. It was like a heaping teaspoon. So that's probably why it was a little bit salty. So there's that. So let me put the boiling water in the microwave. supposed to have 2 cups. Yeah. So I'll put this in the microwave. To let it now those muffins have peaked nicely, so I'm going to be getting them out in just a minute. Let me get some butter to spread over the top of them. But yeah, they're peaking nicely. Oh, I don't even have to add milk to this. Just water, stir, and it's ready to go. Can't beat that. I know my husband would be glad to get his dinner early because all he had for breakfast was some toast with cinnamon apples that I had made. So he put the cinnamon apples on the toast. So he's definitely good and hungry, so he'll be ready. Okay, let me check on these greens. Let's do that. We'll see how they're doing. We'll see if I need to pull this out a little bit. There, I think you can see it. Yeah, it's pretty much going down to 0, so I'll open it up. Open it away from me so the steam goes that way and not in my face. They look pretty good. Let's see how they taste and see if I need to put them on any longer. Let's see how the greens taste. They're good. They're done. I'm going to add some of my chili sauce to them. I like chili sauce in the greens. Gives them a nice little flavor. I'll give them a good stir. Now some people, looks like my phone is getting kind of low, so I need to get a cord to put in it, so I guess I'll have to do that. I'm going to put this on cancel, and then I'm going to put it on cook again, and I'm going to drop it to, well, let's see, time, nope, maybe 10 minutes, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to do that. And while that's happening, I better get the cord for this phone. There. So let's see. People want to know what I'm making. I am making, it's not gumbo. I'm making some collard greens in the, oh. Guys, you know how I am. I get to talking. I get to talking and then I forget what I'm doing. So I almost, oh please. Woo, woo, woo. I'm gonna put them on this pad right there. So now you guys can see, these muffins. They peaked nicely, and I can see they can even move a little bit here in the, see, I can like twist them around a little bit so they didn't stick to the pan at all. So we'll have these nice corn muffins with dinner. And I better check on this gravy. So I'm definitely going to need to add some more flour to it. I'm going to use potatoes. I decided to go with more potatoes. Hey, honey, could you do me a favor? Could you go upstairs and bring me down my charger cord for my phone? It's right there by the bed, but my phone is like running down. And I don't want it to cut out right in the middle of this, so he came in just in time. So this is another pack of those buttery home style. So what I'll do is I'll just add just a little bit of these mashed potatoes to the gravy. There. And while that's doing that, I'll put a little bit of butter on top of these corn muffins. No, that's the one for the, let me see the, no, that's the one for that pack. I need the one with the Thunderbolt. Thank you though. So I'm gonna put a little bit of butter on top of these, just a little bit. Actually, why not do it right? Actually, I'll just melt some. I'll just melt some in the microwave real quick. So I put those in that butter in the microwave, and then I can just brush the top of that. Oh.
Okay.
Let me plug this in. You'll bring an extension cord. So we'll get this plugged in so we don't end up going in the corner over there where I have all my other stuff. It's coming. So Jen said she had to stop making gravy for her husband. Why? Because the roast of meat and add vegetables. Once it's done, I blend. Oh, you blend in some of the veggies with the pan drippings. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a real good idea. And I've done that. My sister was making some vegetable broth. Hang on, let me get this cord plugged in. My sister was making some vegetable broth, and she put in so many vegetables, it looked like it was like pureed vegetable soup. there. So I got it plugged in so it shouldn't die on us all of a sudden. But yeah, that's a good idea. Add some of the veggies to the gravy. Sally said she was in her kitchen and her timer went off. She kept looking around to find it and it was my timer beeping. Oh, now that is too funny. Okay, now this gravy is looking pretty good. Let me bring it over and let you guys see it. So see, I added that those potatoes to it and thickened it up nicely. And that'll also take care of some of that salty flavor. Let me get that seal. Let's make sure I got that on seal. There. Ha! That's what you're not supposed to do. Alright, so let me get this done. My husband always gets after me because I get so distracted trying to do too many things at one time. I have burned up many a meal in just that fashion. Now how Miss Leona does it, it makes it look so easy. She cooks live and she's doing this and she's doing that and it just looks so easy. So see how easy these are. Ugh, I have been to school. See how easy these are to come out of the pan when you really grease the pan very heavily with your shortening. And it needs to be like Crisco or something like that. And so here are our muffins. They're all ready for dinner. I'll set them right there on top of that. Gravy's off the stove. I have a mess to clean up once I'm done here because typically I will clean as I go. However, it makes so much noise to wash dishes on a live stream, so I've not done that. Alright, so I got the boiling water, but I don't think I want to use this dish now that I think about it. So we're supposed to add 2 cups of boiling water to a heat-resistant dish. Honey, I got dinner ready if you want to get the table ready. Okay. Or we can wait a few if you like. That way I have all this stuff out of your way.
I'll wait.
Okay. He's like, look, you signed up for YouTube, not me. All right, so now I'm going to add the mashed potatoes. And just kind of mix this up, just kind of gradually. And they're thickening it up as we go. So I don't even have to put milk in here. Buttery home-style mashed potatoes made with 100% real Idaho potatoes, perfectly blended with real butter. Now I always add a little salt and pepper and a little butter of my own. because we like buttery mashed potatoes. So these are looking pretty good. Now the chicken's been in the oven, probably a good 40 minutes. Keep it in mind that the chicken was fully cooked. I just needed it to heat up, to warm all the way through. And then I also needed the vegetables to cook. So I'll be taking a look at that in just a second. A short order cook, I am not. Okay, so the potatoes are ready. So the potatoes are ready. Let me get this out of the way. I'll get this out of the way. Like I said, this is not Rachel Ray. I have got a hot mess going on in here. Because whereas I usually clean as I go, I have not done that today. I've just kind of thrown it all over there in the sink. Cranberry sauce. Got that ready. All right, let's take a look at the chicken and see how it's doing. Now, one of the things that I'll often do when I open the oven is I'll stand back and just let the heat drift up because it's pretty hot when you first open it. And you can certainly get a face full. Always hold the pot away from you. So this looks pretty darn good. Here, I'll let you see. And let me just see if the vegetables are tender, because what we needed to have happen was for the chicken to warm through with the spices and for the vegetables to cook. Carrots are tender. So the veggies are done. So, what is that on your plate? I'll just let you see. And then I'll just put some of the vegetables on the plate around the chicken so you can see it. Because we'll eat those carrots out of there. We may not necessarily eat all the onions, but we will certainly eat the carrots. And then the additional water and the broth that I put in there just makes for a more flavorful broth. And it was just one carrot. It wasn't a lot of carrots, so just, you know, for about one meal. So there's that. Then I want to show you that there's broth. See that? Now, there's more of that in there than that. I just want to show you that it's in there. So that's broth that I can use for other meals. Oh, you know what? I forgot I wanted to put a little of that in the gravy. There. That's about all I need. That covered up. Add a little broth off that chicken in the gravy, just so it's got a little bit of flavor from today. That's off. Here are the muffins. Gonna cancel that and gonna let that down. Notice I'm using a spatula to do that and not my fingers. And it stays away from me. I just needed it to cook a few more minutes. It was probably fine the way it was, but now, it may seem like it took a while for this dinner to get done, but keep in mind I was trying to cook the dinner while filming, so some of the things did take a little bit longer than normally. If I wasn't filming, then things would have moved a lot quicker and a lot smoother. My husband says filming always slows me down. And he's probably right. So we're having muffins, potatoes, cranberry sauce, chicken with carrots and celery, and greens. Let's see if that's down enough. Nope. Let me come over here and see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Liver and onions? No. You know, Hungry Man, I used to make liver and onions when I was a young housewife. I liked liver and I like liver and onions. I probably still do. But when I develop an issue with cholesterol, I just don't cook organ meats anymore because there's too much cholesterol in there. So I just heard that little thing drop, so I should be able to open this up now. Yep. Southern style collard greens. Here they are. And like I said, I put them back in for about another 10 minutes. Just because they probably were tender enough, but I wanted to add the chili sauce and then see how they do. So, that did it. Now, I didn't put any salt in it. There's enough seasoning in it, but if you want more salt, you can add it at the table. Because once you put it in, you can't take it out. You can always add more, but you can't take it out. So here's our dinner. Roasted chicken with carrots, onions, and celery. Southern style collard greens. Mashed potatoes. Cranberry sauce. Muffins, corn muffins. Going to put that in that other gravy bowl, but I think if I put it in here, you can see it. And then chicken gravy, homemade chicken gravy. Here's the homemade chicken gravy. Honey, do you want me to go ahead and fix your plate? Well, do you want me to go ahead and fix your plate? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'll go ahead and plate up one for camera. So I'll plate up yours. Or do you want me to plate up mine?
You can do both.
I'll just plate up one. Let's see. This isn't good. I'll plate up one for the camera. So just hang on a second. I'll just plate up mine and then you can plate up yours. All right. So there's a little bit of chicken. I have a little bit of carrot right there with some of the onions on the side. I'll have some mashed potatoes. And one thing about mashed potatoes, they do cool off quickly, but the gravy heats them up. A little gravy. Little greens. And you guys know this is my plate. Because we're going to have a little cranberry sauce on the side. So here we go. Here's today's Sunday dinner. Roast chicken with mashed potatoes and chicken gravy. Southern style collard greens made with ham and bacon. And then of course a little bit of carrot on the side. And of course cranberry sauce. And corn muffins. So this is what's for dinner. So let me come back over here so I can see what people are doing. So, oh, I got lots of nice comments. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you joining me today while I cooked my husband's dinner. I should say cooked our dinner. Michelle says she'll be over in a little bit. No liver and onions. And Junior Scott says, Shalom, dear mother. Thank you. You know, somebody called me mother at church today, too. I went in the room to sit down while I was waiting for something. And someone says, hello, Mom. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll take it. And Tudu says, nice cooking with me today. Collard greens with chili. I put a little chili sauce when I make my greens. Like a lot of people put in hot sauce, and I like chili sauce. It gives you the flavor, but none of the heat. So just a little bit of salt, just a little bit of spice. And then Evelyn Mitchell, good afternoon. I'm glad you were here. As always, she enjoys my videos when I'm cooking along. Any advice? And thank you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get this table set so we can have dinner. Hubby's been waiting patiently. So I will see you guys next time. Bye. Oh, I always have to figure out how to turn it off.